Man United just keep winning. Make sure to like and subscribe because we're gonna get straight into this. Look, Man United keep winning, and I haven't made a video on them in a bit, right? But I remember early on, I said when Michael Carrick first came in that after a couple wins, that if he keeps winning and he gets top four in the Prem and they play good football, then they should keep him, right? Because you can't really replace Michael Carrick with a Raiola or a Glasner because they are new managers. They don't have that top level experience. They still need another level or two, like a Newcastle or a Spurs to get, or even Aston Villa to get into that bigger team conversations, right? To get those managerial appointments in the bigger teams, even though the big teams right now have pretty pragmatic managers. But Michael Carrick just keeps winning. Man United look good. Watching Man United is some of the best football, right? Because you watch Arsenal and it's pretty boring and pragmatic, but then you watch Man United and they're fun, entertaining, and they win, right? So what should they do with Michael Carrick? Now, in my opinion, I don't at this point. I don't even think you could replace him with the Thomas Tuchel. Because let's be honest, if Thomas Tuchel makes it far in the World Cup, which he probably will, England have a good squad. He'll make it far and he'll be back and out of the England squad around what mid-July to early August, and that does not give him enough time to make a project at Manchester United, change everything. Because we know Thomas Tuchel has a very kind of slow style, right? His starts are always slow, and he picks up around mid in the league, right? But when it comes to Michael Carrick, you give Michael Carrick the summer, you give him time to plan, you give him time to get some players in. I don't think they should get rid of too many players because if they play Champions League, they'll be playing a lot of more games. And look, Bruno Fernandes isn't getting any younger, but he's also looking amazing. He looks overall better. Casemiro is leaving. Kobe Mainu is staying. I think Luke Shaw is injury prone again. Diego Dallo is a good player to have in your squad, right? You could probably upgrade on him, but having him in your squad, he's a leader. He's been there for a long time. He does the job most of the time. Harry Maguire's not. I don't think any of the defense is leaving. Only Casemiro in midfield is leaving. Ugarte should have been gone yesterday. They'll probably bring. I think they should bring another midfielder or two. I think they should bring a big name like with the Warren and Anderson or a Baleba, and then try and sign one of the midfielders from Wolves. You got Joao Gomez, you have Andre, you have good midfielders who will be relegated. Even Chukwemeka from Burnley. I think there's a good midfielders. You should bring at least two. I think if you're Man United, you bring in at least two midfielders, a big name, and one of those relegation side midfielders, right? Because they're very good midfielders. Joao Gomez is very good midfielder. Andre is a very good midfielder. You have Chukwemeka, who's a very good midfielder. And then if West Ham get relegated, you could go on for one of them. Fernandez for West Ham has been very good. So you get one of those, and then you get a bigger midfielder. You get a couple more parts, and you probably need a left back. Luke Shaw is too injury prone. You probably need another backup striker. I don't think Xerxes cuts it enough for this Man United team. And look, Man United aren't too far away from, let's say, even competing till like January or February for the Prem, right? Because next season it will be different. They will have Champions League football. They will be in the League's Cup late run. They will be in the FA Cup runs. They will be for the Premier League title, fighting for top four, right? And we can't even rely on Chelsea to go fight for the top four because the way Chelsea act, the way their board moves, they're turning into a Dortmund. They're turning into a Brian. Why young players sell them when they're older and experienced, right? That's what they're turning into. You can't rely on Chelsea to compete for top four. You can't rely on Chelsea to compete for a title, compete for a League's Cup, because the way they're going, the route they're going with all these young new players, no experienced players. They have absolutely no experienced players other than the good players they have, like the Reece James, like the not even like for Enzo Fernandez. I think Enzo is a very experienced player. They're turning into a Dortmund type of team. They're turning into a Brighton type of team. So you can't really rely on them to compete. So that just makes it easier for a Man United. It makes it easier for a Liverpool comeback next season. So when you look at the way that as things are going, man, if Man United have a good summer, they possibly could go on to do something bigger, right? Win a FA Cup, win the Carabao, and be top two. Battle it out till like February because I don't think their winning ability is there yet. To winning the Prem, but it's just it's hard to decide, right? Because a lot of I've heard and listened to a lot of Man United fans talk about, oh, this is how it went with under Oli. This is how it was under Oli Gunnar Solskjaer. When they went on that good run, He was an interim manager. They gave him the contract in the summer. The season started. They did well, and they just started falling off. And people forget how bad it got with under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It got pretty bad. You know, a lot of people look back, and yes, they finished second, and yes, they were doing better than they were under Ruben Amorim. But then towards the end, it got ugly. You know, once Eric Ten Hag had to come in, the things got pretty ugly. And then they had to restart. They restarted with Eric Ten Hag. Same thing happened. Things got ugly towards the end. They had to restart. Brian and Ruben Amorim. Things never really improved. To be honest, they lost to Spurs in a European final, and then they started off kind of well, I guess you could say, under Ruben Amorim, with no wins. I think they didn't win a game in eight. They were all draws and losses. But that I see a lot of these Man United fans traumatized because they don't want to stay with Carrick because of the past of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But then you look at Thomas Tuchel. Thomas Tuchel isn't in his prime managerial years no more. I think you could say his prime was between the last years at PSG and his years at Chelsea. Because you look at what he did at Bayern. It's not like a Bayern were some crazy team, right? And I think it's going to be a tough decision for Ratcliffe and the Man United board to make a tough and actual decision, right? Because you might have options, but if you do, you're gonna have to wait until late July to make those options. You know, Thomas Tuchel is gonna be in the like I said in England. He's gonna make it far in the World Cup. Ancelotti, I think he's gonna make it far in the World Cup. You look at other managers, and they're gonna make it far in the World Cup. All the managers that Man United will be looking at will probably make it far in the World Cup. So you can't just wait on one of them to come out and maybe want to take the job. Thomas Tuchel just extended the contract, but I think it's more to keep the talk down when it comes to him leaving to Man United, right? It just pushes it forward for the media at least. You can't really wait on one of them. And your best options outside of that, who are in an international level, Luis Enrique, if he decides to leave PSG, which I don't think he will. You have, like I said, you can't replace Michael Carrick with an Iraola or a Glasner. I don't like the way Glasner coaches. Iraola is more of a big team player, you know, big team manager, takes risks, does good type of football. And you can't really replace Michael Carrick with one of those managers. So you would have to wait and see in the summer options. And I just think the only way you can substitute and get rid of Michael Carrick, in the form he's in, he might finish third. Do you understand how much this is? He's going to finish third if he keeps up the same pace. I think Aston Villa will keep falling. I think Liverpool has a chance to climb up, but I think they still look pretty bad. Their football isn't the best. But then you look at Man United, they're playing well, they're winning. Their best players are in form. Casemiro's back in form. Bruno Fernandes and Kobe Mainoo not too much, but Bruno Fernandes is doing amazing. Cunha, Sesko, and Buemo, they're doing fine. Like this is such a good team. And we've said this, right? That's why a lot of people were so annoyed at Amram, and so right? Because I would tune in to watch Man United, and it would just be boring football. While you have Cunha, you have Mbuemo, you have Sesko, you have Bruno Fernandes, and you're playing such boring football. Michael Carrick comes in, takes care of it. They play good football. They're winning, scoring goals, conceding less goals as well, even with the back four. So it's interesting times. But if you ask me today, March 2nd, what I would do, I would genuinely keep Michael Carrick. I would keep Michael Carrick. I think Luis Enrique isn't going to leave PSG, and there's not many managers who you could just bring in and be so confident in them that they will take care of the job. You know, you've had all types of managers. You've had the experienced Jose's. You've had the experienced Antonio Conte. You've had the new managers in Eric Ten Hag and Ruben Amorim. I think now it's time. You've had the Ole Gunnar Solskjaers, and Michael Carrick isn't just something new, right? He's not something new. I guess you could say he's a Man United legend coming in, taking care of the job. But then you look in the market, you don't want to wait till late July to make an appointment when the season starts in mid to early August, because that gives the manager no time. It's going to be a slow start again, and you probably have to restart if you end up firing the manager, right? You don't want to wait till late and end of July to give your managerial appointment. And yeah, I would keep Michael Carrick. I would keep him, Michael Carrick. I think the players believe in him. I think if you give him a good summer, he's a midfielder himself, right? He knows what type of midfielder he wants. I think he would want in Warren and Anderson and Baleba with another midfielder coming in. And look, things aren't too easy, right? It looks easy right now, and maybe in hindsight, it's gonna be the worst decision they could have made, right? Like Spurs signed Frank. It looked like the best decision they could have made. He was a manager coming up, did good with Brentford. They signed him, and it's probably the worst Spurs team that I've ever seen. But then again, there's no new couple. You know, you look at Chelsea manager, they have Liam Rosinha. You look at Arne Slot, who won the Premier League, and then he's so bad right now. You know, you look at some of the managers. Igor Tudor is managing Spurs. You look at some of the managers right now. It's not the best pick. So someone like Michael Carrick, who brings stability, who the players trust and respect, I think he could do a good job if he gets a good summer and starts off with Man United. It's tough though. I'm not. I wouldn't be too. As a neutral fan, I wouldn't be blaming Ratcliffe too much if something does go wrong because once again, it's Man United. The pressure they have is different compared to other teams. But that's why Michael Carrick doing so good in such a bad time for Man United. We forget that they were in such bad time when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came in. They weren't too bad, but they weren't at their best as well. Because at their best, Man United had no to compete for leagues and win leagues. But at the time when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came in, it wasn't too bad as when Michael Carrick came in, right? Michael Carrick stabilized them, and then he'll probably finish third in the Man United with this Man United team. And once again, this is a very good Man United team. Cunha and Mbeumo are some of the best in the league. Sesko is coming in and he's banging goals. You have Bruno Fernandes, who's I think he's probably the best 10 in the world. You have Kobe Mainoo, a very good, talented youngster who started for his national team already in the Euro final. You know, you have very good center backs. You have Maguire, you have Lisandro, you have Heaven, who I rate very highly. Aiden Heaven is so good. You look at Matthias de Ligt, a good, strong, physical, athletic youngster. You know, he's not too young, but for a center back, he's very young. It's a good team. They need a couple more positions. You know, probably left back, right back, two midfielders, and a backup striker. I would say because I'm not the biggest fan of Joshua Zirkzee. You know, and then you still have Amad Diallo. You still have these type of players, and I think this summer is going to be very important summer for Man United. And yeah, I would keep Michael Carrick unless there was a Luis Enrique or unless there was a Ancelotti, unless there was some crazy manager that comes in, Hansi Flick if he leaves Barca after failing again, you know. But it's such outside shouts, right? But when you look at the actual thing of Thomas Tuchel, you know, you look at the French national team manager with Zidane coming in, you look at Scaloni, you look at just random managers that I don't think would be so successful in Man United. I would keep Michael Carrick. What do you guys think?